Hello students. In previous lecture we learnt about different types of nutrients and their role in our body. We also learnt RDA of each nutrient. Now let us learn each nutrient in detail. Today we will discuss carbohydrate. Can you imagine your breakfast or lunch or dinner without rice or chapati or any other cereal preparation? No, you can't, because these cereal preparations are important constituents of our meal. They are called the staple foods because they provide most economic source of carbohydrate. Today we will learn carbohydrate under following headings: definition of carbohydrate, classification, functions, sources, health problems, dietary fibers and Browning reactions. Carbohydrate is most widely found in nature. They are present in wide range of foods in the form of sugars, starch, cellulose and other complex substances. They provide 60 to 70% energy in Indian diet. They are primary products of photosynthesis. They are organic compound synthesized from carbon dioxide and water in photosynthetic cell of the plant through sun's radiation. They are made up of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen and may be represented by the formula CxH2OY, where X and Y ranges from 3 to 1000. This suggested the nomenclature of this class of substances as hydrate of carbon or carbohydrate. But there are many carbohydrates which do not fit in this formula. And there are some substances which are not carbohydrate, for example lactic acid, acetic acid, but they fit in this formula. So modern definition of carbohydrate is polyhydroxyaldehyde or ketones and their derivatives. Carbohydrate provides 1 gram provides 4 calories. It is ideal component of food with respect to energy, and it promotes the utilization of fat and reduces the wastage of the protein in our body. Carbohydrate can be classified as monosaccharide, oligosaccharide and polysaccharide. Saccharides means sugar or sweetness. Mono means single. Monosaccharide consists of single aldehyde or ketone unit. They are building blocks of oligosaccharide or polysaccharide. They can't be hydrolyzed further in our body. Example of monosaccharides are glucose, fructose and galactose. Oligo means few. Oligosaccharide consists of 2 to 10 monosaccharide units linked by glycosidic linkage. Example of oligosaccharides are sucrose, maltose and lactose. Polysaccharides consist of more than 10 monosaccharides units, and there may be 100 to a few thousand glucose units linked in a straight or branched chain. Examples of polysaccharides are starch, glycogen, dextrin, cellulose and pectin. Monosaccharide can be classified in 2 ways. Based on their functional group, they are classified as aldoses and ketoses. Aldoses are those which contain aldehyde group and ketoses are those which contain ketone groups. Based on number of carbon atoms, monosaccharides can be classified as trioses, tetroses, pentoses and hexoses. Example of trioses are glyceraldehyde and dihydroxyacetone. Tetroses made up of 4 carbon atoms. Examples are erythrose, threose, ethylose. Ethylose contains ketone group and ethylose and threose contains aldehyde group. Example of pentoses are ribose, xylose, arabinose, ribulose. Hexoses is made up of 6 carbon atoms. Examples are glucose, mannose, galactose and fructose. Fructose contains ketone group, whereas glucose, mannose, galactose contains aldehyde group. Now discuss each one. Glucose, it is also known as dextrose, grape sugar, corn sugar, blood sugar. It is widely distributed in nature, found in fruits, honey, vegetable, corn syrups. Glucose is the end product of digestion of starch, sucrose, maltose and lactose in our body. And our blood contains glucose, which is oxidized and source of instant energy in our body. Fructose is also known as lactose and fruit sugar. It is found in fruits, honey and vegetables. Fructose is converted to glucose in our body. Galactose does not occur in free state in food. It is the component of lactose. It is found in lactose in combination with glucose. After digestion, glucose is converted to lactic acid and galactose remained unleft single. And after that, galactose can be converted into glucose and vice versa. Example of disaccharides are sucrose, maltose and lactose. Sucrose is made up of glucose and fructose unit. It is found in sugarcane, beetroot, palm juice, a small amounts in fruits and some vegetables. Maltose is made up of 2 glucose unit and it is found in the cereal malts, sprouted legumes, fermented doughs. Lactose, it is made up of glucose and galactose and it is milk sugar. Example of trisaccharides are raffinose. They are made up of glucose, fructose and galactose. They are found in small amounts in many foods like beans, Brussels sprout, broccoli, asparagus, vegetables and whole grains. They are also present in fair amount in beetroot and cottonseed meal. Example of tetrasaccharides are stachiols. They are made up of 2 molecules of galactose, 1 molecule of glucose and 1 molecule of fructose. They are found in numerous vegetables like beans, soya bean and other beans and also present in other foods in varying amount. Both raffinose and stachiols, they are not digested in our body. They passes to colon unchanged where it is attacked by the bacteria and they ferment it and produces gases which may lead to abdominal bloating. The most important polysaccharide is starch, which is the source of energy of human race. Plant store carbohydrate in the form of starch. Starch is 2 types, amylose and amylopectin. Amylose is a straight chain of glucose units linked by 1,4 linkage, whereas amylopectin is branched molecule. In this, one chain may consist of 20 to 30 glucose units and each and linked by 1,4 linkage, and each chain is connected to another chain by 1,6 linkage. Starch is widely found in cereal grains, grain products, legume, potato, other root vegetables and green banana. Glycogen in our body, carbohydrate is stored in the form of glycogen. It is found in liver and muscle of animals including heart muscles. Dextrin is degraded product of starch. Cellulose, it forms a structure part of the plant cell and it is also polymer of glucose unit, but it differs from a starch in the mode of linkage. In starch, alpha glucose is linked by 1,4 linkage, whereas in cellulose, beta glucose is linked by 1,4 linkage. Hemicellulose is also a complex polysaccharide. It consists of pentoses, hexoses and uronic acid. They are found in vegetable, corn cobs, grain hulls and straws. Hemicellulose and cellulose both are not digested in our body, but they have important role to play because they provide bulk to intestinal content and facilitate easy elimination. Pectin is polysaccharide with no nutritional significance. However, they have gelling properties and used for the manufacture of jam and jellies. Now we will discuss function of carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is most important source of energy. 1 gram of carbohydrate provides 4 calories, and our brain, nerve tissue, erythrocyte, they need constant supply of glucose from the blood for their energy needs. Carbohydrates also serve as reserve fuel. In our body, as I stated earlier, it is stored in form of glycogen, and this stored carbohydrate is used in muscular exercise, especially in emergency. Third function is protein sparing action. Carbohydrate spares protein to do their most important function of body building and repair of tissue. In deprivation of carbohydrate, protein may be deaminated and utilized for the energy purpose. Adequate carbohydrate is essential for normal and complete fat metabolism, preventing from acidosis. When there is deprivation of carbohydrate in our diet, then fat is mobilized for energy production, but due to unavailability of carbohydrate, metabolism is incomplete, and in the process large amount of ketone bodies accumulate in our body, leading to a disorder known as ketosis or acidosis. Carbohydrate provide carbon skeleton for the synthesis of non-essential amino acid in our body. Carbohydrate is also essential for immunity. Carbohydrates are important part of many important substances such as immune polysaccharides, which enhances our resistance to disease. Adequate storage of glycogen in liver enhances the detoxifying ability of liver. Lactose acts as probiotic. It encourages good bacteria in our intestine and act as probiotics. Lactase also enhances the absorption of calcium. Cellulose, hemicellulose provides fecal bulk and facilitate easy elimination. Carbohydrates differ in sweetness depending on the composition as well as the sources of carbohydrate. Polysaccharide is least sweet, oligosaccharides are medium, and monosaccharides are sweetest. Carbohydrate can be ranked in order of decreasing sweetness as fructose, sucrose, glucose, galactose, maltose, lactose, dextrin, and starch. In raw fruits, taste is blunt due to presence of starch, but during ripening process, starch is broken down into simpler sugars with development of sweet taste. Important sources of carbohydrates is given in this table. Sugar, jaggery, sago, tapioca flour, arrowroot flour, cereal and millets. Dried fruits are good sources of carbohydrate in our diet. Pulses, whole milk powder, skim milk powders, roots and tubers are good sources. Fresh fruits and milks are fair sources. Tender legumes also contain carbohydrate to an extent of 15 to 20%. How carbohydrate is related to our health? Normal blood glucose level is 80 to 100 milligram per dl. But in diabetes mellitus, glucose level rises to 180 to 300 milligram per 100 ml depending on the severity of the disease. Because in diabetes mellitus, the ability to utilize carbohydrate decreases due to insufficiency of insulin hormone. There are mainly three forms of diabetes mellitus. First is insulin dependent, which is also known as type 1. Non-insulin dependent, also known as type 2, and gestational. In insulin dependent, that is type 1, it occurs in children and adolescents. It may appear in adult and elderly population. In this form, there is little or no production of insulin from the beta cell of pancreas. Person suffering from this form has to take insulin injection. If he doesn't take, then there will be life-threatening complications. In type 2, it is mainly due to insulin resistance. There is normal production of insulin, but our body is not able to utilize that insulin efficiently, and this form is increasing with the alarming speed in our country, and it is mostly found in obese and overweight persons. When pregnant lady develop diabetes mellitus, it is called gestational diabetes. It is in 1% pregnant women. Symptoms of diabetes are fasting blood glucose level will be more than 140 mg per dl, polyuria, that is frequent urination, polydipsia, that is frequent thirst, polyphagia, frequent hunger, rapid weight loss, blood vision, easy tiring, drowsiness, and general weakness. Excessive consumption of carbohydrate in the form of sweets, candy, chocolates may lead to obesity and dental caries. If there is mild deficiency of carbohydrate in our diet, then fat will be metabolized for energy purpose. But if there is severe deprivation of carbohydrate in our diet, then fat too can't be oxidized completely, resulting in accumulation of large amount of ketone bodies, leading to a disorder known as acidosis or ketosis, a complication often encountered in uncontrolled diabetes mellitus. Cellulose, hemicellulose, pectins, which are part of the structural part, which forms a structural part of the plant cell, are usually referred to as dietary fibers. They are polysaccharide. They differ from a starch in the mode of linkage. Even after cooking, we are not able to digest cellulose, hemicellulose. There are two types, insoluble fiber and soluble fiber. Cellulose, hemicellulose, lignins, classed as insoluble fiber. They are found in whole cereals, wheat bran, vegetables, nuts. Soluble fibers include pectin, gums, and mucilage. They are viscous fibers soluble in water, and though they do not provide any nutrient to our body, but they have important role to play in our body. As I stated earlier, they provide bulk to our intestinal content and stimulate peristaltic movement of GI tract and helps in easy elimination of stool. Soluble fibers have gained importance nowadays because of its hypoglycemic and hypocholesteric effect. It binds cholesterol and bile acid and takes them away from the body. There are many clinical evidences which suggest that soluble fibers reduces blood glucose level, hence good for diabetes mellitus. There are also evidence that it prevents us from some type of cancer, particularly colon cancer. Process of food turning brown due to chemical reaction that takes place within is called browning reaction. It may be desirable or undesirable. The browning reaction is two types, enzymatic browning and non-enzymatic browning. This browning reaction, particularly enzymatic browning in fresh fruits and vegetables, create great loss to growers due to darkening of fruits and vegetables. Enzymatic browning, you must have observed browning on the cut surface of light colored fruit and vegetables like apple, banana, potato. It is due to the enzyme polyphenol oxidase. This enzyme is also known as phenolase, tyrosinase, catecholases. Substrate of this enzyme is phenolic substances. In the intact tissue, they do not come in contact with each other, but when the tissue is damaged or cut, the enzymes are released. They act on phenolic substances, oxidizes them to orthoquinone, and which polymerizes to give brown pigments. In fresh and vegetable, enzymatic browning causes great loss to the growers. But in some instances are there where it is desirable, like color development in dried fruits like raisins and figs. Non-enzymatic browning is those browning in which no enzyme is involved, and they are responsible for the color and flavor of foods such as dates, chocolates, honey. Distinctive flavors that coffee bean, groundnut, cashew nut and breakfast cereal develop after roasting is due to the non-enzymatic browning reaction. Non-enzymatic browning reaction is two types, caramelization and Maillard reaction. Caramelization when the sugar in dry condition or sugar syrup is heated. They undergo a number of reactions leading to the formation of unsaturated polymers with brown color. The large quantity of industrial caramel color are made by heating corn syrup in the presence of catalysts like acid, alkali and salt, and they have large application in bakery products, ice creams and Coca-Cola type beverages. Maillard reaction is during heat processing. Non-reducing sugar like oligosaccharide and polysaccharide hydrolyzes to form reducing sugar, carbonyl group of reducing sugar and amino group of amino acid, proteins or peptides combines to form sugar amino compound which undergo a number of reactions called Maillard reaction and to produce dark colored compounds, and sometimes it may produce off flavor. Most common example of Maillard reaction is brown crust of bread, cookies, biscuits. With this, I conclude this session. If you have any query, you know how to reach me. And next class will be on protein. Thank you.